Okay, looking at a grammar issue, and I've got parentheses here with an and, with a comma and. I'm going to look at the comma and because that's an independent clause combination as well. Let's just check that. While filming, well, it's probably not going to be the case because this is a subordinating conjunction and it sets up a dependent clause. While filming a boxing match movie for the Body and Soul, 1947. So we then have a comma, dependent clause, comma. So the parentheses is just highlighting when the Body and Soul was filmed. So then we have the comma, and then we go on with our main clause right here. How had a handheld camera operator wear roller skates? That's an independent clause. So it's just going to be the comma after the dependent clause. And by the way, just because we have parentheses, that is separate from the comma that separates the dependent clause. B is the answer. It's not going to be an and with no commas, and it's not going to be no punctuation. Dependent clauses up front must be separated by commas. Okay, English, periods, commas, colons. All right, let's take a look. So I see a list, so I'm going to assume it's the colon first. Let's take a look. Recently, archaeologists have unearthed knives. No, that's not an independent clause up here, so I can't have a colon, right? Just because it's a list doesn't automatically mean it's examples that work. I need an independent clause before a colon. So recently, archaeologists have unearthed knives, horseshoes, wool tunics, and thousands of other artifacts. There's no punctuation required between the verb and the object nouns. So D is going to be the correct answer. Okay, grammar, vertical scan. I've got parentheses, semicolons, colons. I'm going to try the semicolon first. By linking the Hudson River to Lake Erie. So by is our preposition, is going to be a prepositional clause. It's dependent up front, therefore not a semicolon. And by the way, also not a colon. An independent clause must precede the colon. So by linking the Hudson River to Lake Erie, comma, that's my dependent clause, separated by a comma up front, the canal reduced transport time to 9 days. That's an independent, or the main clause after. It's going to be the comma. I wouldn't use a parentheses here. I don't even have a closing parentheses, so that's definitely a no-no. Okay, grammar, I've got commas, long dashes. I have a comma and, so I do have an independent clause option. I'm going to test that first. So in 1959, marine biologist such and such founded the Adventure Seekers. And parenthetically, we're going to say a scuba diving club. So here in the parenthetical, I wouldn't set up an independent clause punctuation. So that's not going to be right, actually. So a scuba diving club, that is the oldest. So I don't want a comma before the that. So that can't be right. It's going to be no punctuation. And of course, I don't want a long dash, which is a substitute for the comma either. It's no punctuation. Just a scuba diving club, that is the oldest club for black divers in the US. Okay, grammar, quick vertical scan. I see we're after a colon and Amophias, will Amophias, Amophias, will Amophias. So again, this is a question or not. So it'll be, will Amophias traditions be affected, question mark. It won't be a statement with a question mark, or it will be the statement with the period. It won't be the will Amophias traditions be affected, the question, but with a period. We can always eliminate the two options here on these types of answers. Now let's see what it should be. However, when the arrival of European missionaries brings changes to Amophia, the novel asks a central question. How will Amophia's traditions be affected? It's going to be the question. It's not going to say how Amophia's traditions will be affected. That's not it. The example we have to show is the question after the colon.